going to make a smoothie because it's summer and I live in Arizona, which means at some point temperatures are going to reach like 100 degrees and I'm pretty much only going to eat cold food. Pretty much only smoothies. So I thought it would be fun to make a smoothie because I get asked about smoothies all the time, like what should go in them. A lot of questions people get about smoothies are, having to do with getting super hungry right after, or just like what are healthy ingredients, because there's so many options of what you can put in them. So hopefully we'll hit on all of them today. There are 3 things that are really key in making a smoothie and keeping you full. So a lot of times what I see people do is they'll make a smoothie in the morning all full of fruit. And while that's really, really good for you and tastes really good, we're missing 3 key components. So that first component is protein. So I grabbed some protein sources out. I don't have by far an extensive list at all. So we're gonna actually make a smoothie and I'm gonna use my protein powder, but there's a couple different things you can use. So one is Greek yogurt is a great source of protein. So if you can do dairy, I'm equal opportunity dairy and non-dairy, and if you do well with dairy, you can do Greek yogurt. Cottage cheese is also a great option. I love cottage cheese and berries together. That's always really good. Collagen is kind of tasteless, so it's not going to add any flavor to your smoothie, but it will kind of thicken it a little bit, and it will add a pretty good dose of protein, so you can use that if you don't really want. Like my husband hates the taste of protein powder, so I often put collagen in his smoothie because he can't do dairy anyways. So I'll do the beef collagen, which won't change the taste of his smoothie at all, so that's really good. I'm going to do vanilla protein powder, probably a full scoop. So that's usually the first thing that I put in my blender. But protein's going to do a couple different things. One, it's going to initiate satiety hormones. So if you've ever had a smoothie and felt hungry like 15 seconds after, or an hour later or whatever, likely it was missing the protein component. So that's one thing. Protein also takes more energy to break down, so thereby increases your thermic effect of food, which is a fancy way of saying you burn more calories when you eat more protein, which is always great. And I think it's a good way to add flavor. The next piece that people almost always miss is a healthy fat, and there are tons of options when it comes to healthy fat and putting healthy fat in your smoothie. What I have out today, we're going to do ground flaxseed, which is really high in omega-3s and fiber. And we're going to do a little bit of chia seed, which doubles as a thickener and a healthy fat and fiber, so triples. But really high in omega-3s, so that's pretty awesome because omega-3s are extremely anti-inflammatory, so we need a lot of those in our diets to offset all the omega-6 in our diet. Sunflower oil, safflower oil, corn oil, things like that. You can also do hemp seeds. You can do a handful of nuts. You can do a handful of seeds like hemp seeds. You can do peanut butter is always really good to add flavor, and I think peanut butter totally covers the taste of any vegetables you'll add to your smoothie, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Avocado adds a ton of creaminess, and I know that sounds disgusting, but avocado and some vanilla protein tastes amazing. It tastes so good. And avocado adds a lot of creaminess. All of these healthy fats are going to add creaminess to your smoothie, which is really, really good. Obviously, you want your smoothie to be creamy. And they're also going to help keep you full. So just like protein, healthy fat also initiates hormones, which tell your body that you're full and keep you fuller for longer. So if you have a smoothie that's missing healthy fat and or protein, you're likely to get hungrier a lot faster. So it's really, really important to have a healthy fat. Also, if you do, like this is 0%, but I often get 2%, so and I always get whole milk or 2% cottage cheese. If you use that, then that can be your healthy fat, and that's fine. You don't need to add any more. So if you use a full fat dairy product, then you may or may not need to add more healthy fat into your smoothie. So that's really good. Those are pretty much the normal things that I add to it. Oh, and the other one's canned coconut milk. So full fat canned coconut milk can also be a really great source of filling healthy fats. So you could use that as your liquid, and then you wouldn't need to add any healthy fat. So I'm going to do a teaspoon of chia seeds because a little bit goes a long way as far as thickening it goes, and I don't like them to take over my smoothie. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of flaxseed. The next thing that we need to make sure we get in is fiber. Now, fiber comes from 2 places, well, 3 places. It can come from seeds, like flaxseed and chia seeds are really, really high in fiber. But you want to add a little bit additional, and this is where we get into adding fruit and vegetables. Now, obviously, fruits make our smoothies taste really, really good, but a lot of times people will stack way too much fruit into their smoothie. And this is a good place to talk about carbs. So a lot of times people will just stack one carb on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other, and all of a sudden you have a smoothie that's mostly carbs and not a lot of protein and healthy fat. And so the way you would do that is like, if you're using Greek yogurt and milk as your liquid and a ton of fruit, you may have stacked your carbohydrates really, really high, up to 60 grams at that point. And usually for most people, we want to keep around 30 grams, which is a half a cup of serving. So that's why I'm going to use almond milk in the smoothie. And I'm going to limit my fruit to only 1 serving of fruit. And my favorite thing to do is bananas. So I always freeze a bunch of super ripe bananas. You want your bananas to be as ripe as possible because then they're sweeter. Some people would disagree with me because they're more sugarier, but whatever. So I freeze them in half chunks because I have a Vitamix. I don't need to freeze them smaller than that. So I'm putting in a full banana. If you have like a magic bullet or something like that, you might want to freeze them in little cuts so that you already have them broken down and don't need to, it's not so hard on the blender because that can be really, really hard. So bananas are my favorite because they're super creamy, but you can do any kind of fruit as long as you're limiting it to about a half a cup or so. And then the big thing is keeping your vegetable ratio 3 to 1, which is really hard to do in smoothies. So what I like to do is add super greens, or you can just do spinach. Some people do kale. I love kale. You might hate me for saying that, but I don't really love kale. This spinach is like a little bit on its last day, which is a great place to throw it into a smoothie because you know you're not going to eat it otherwise. So I throw a big handful in usually. Today I'm kind of running low, so we'll just do a little bit. But I'll usually throw a pretty big handful in. Right now, this isn't looking so hot, so we're just going to throw the good pieces in. But you can't taste it at all with all this other stuff going in. And great way to get antioxidants, nutrients, get your greens in, etc. Because when are you ever going to eat that many greens for breakfast or for the meal that you're having the smoothie in? So that adds fiber and nutrients to it, and so that balances out the smoothie a little bit. Other good vegetables to add, carrots go really well because they're kind of sweet naturally. Beets go really well because they're kind of sweet naturally. And by all means, if you've just gone for a really hard run or really hard workout and you need more carbs, like load up with more fruit. But if it's just a meal replacement, then kind of keep the fruit in check a little bit. Extras! Okay, so extras are what makes the smoothie freaking amazing. So first thing, ice. Add about a cup of ice to it. And other things that you can add that will make it taste good without you having to add a ton of sugar would be vanilla, cinnamon, chocolate, stevia drops. If you want something to be sweeter, you can add stevia drops. So this is pretty much ready to blend. We just need the liquid. I use almond milk just because I'm already getting the protein that would be found in milk from my protein powder, and I don't really want like all the extra carbs because I put the carbs in with my banana. I usually start with a cup, and I always err on the side of less liquid and then mix it around because I, again, like my smoothies to be like ice cream. Now my husband, on the other hand, likes his smoothies a lot thinner, so I would automatically add more liquid to his. I'm just gonna blend this up. Okay, so now we have a super thick ice cream style smoothie. This is just like my basic go-to green smoothie. It's nothing fancy. I have tons of fancy recipes on my blog. I have other little tips and tricks I use, like whole milk ice cubes can make it really thick and creamy. I did that with a shamrock shake recipe on my blog. That was super, super good. I've done coconut milk ice cubes, which also make things really thick and creamy, so that's really good. Other little extras. Pumpkin, if you still have cans of pumpkin cubes, you can do that. So I have tons of recipes on my blog, all kinds of different fun stuff like this, but I would say this is probably the smoothie that I make 95% of the time, especially post-workout. Some protein powder, a banana, some milk, ice, and some healthy fat, and that's what I typically make.